What's up, Otakuact fam? Your boy is back, so grab your snacks because we're diving deep into this emotional roller coaster. Okay, first things first. Can we talk about Jin-Woo and Cha Hae-In at that amusement park? Not long after the previous events, in this seemingly out-of-place corner of the city, the amusement park was buzzing with life. And guys, the crowd immediately noticed our power couple. Sharp eyes had spotted Jin-Woo and Hae-In walking side by side, their casual pace drawing whispers from everyone around them. The way people were gasping softly and murmuring excitedly about a possible date between these famed S-rank hunters, I was living for it. Jin-Woo scanning the area, surprised to see how many people still filled the park despite the danger hanging overhead, really shows how people are trying to live normally despite everything. And can we appreciate Hae-In's character development here? She kept her gaze low, her cheeks tinged red as she spoke quietly, wondering aloud if he liked places like this. The shy Hae-In we're seeing is so different from the fierce hunter we know. But then Jin-Woo drops this bomb. He tells her in his usual calm tone that he didn't particularly enjoy amusement parks, but there had always been a part of him that wanted to experience it at least once. When Hae-In looked at him, slightly puzzled, asking why he would come somewhere just out of curiosity, his response absolutely destroyed me. With a faint smile, Jin-Woo told her that she was his only friend. Her steps faltered for a moment, and honestly, so did mine. The warmth in his words caught her off guard. Then he brought up their past, mentioning the battle against the architect, and Hae-In flushed immediately, remembering what she had said then, not realizing he'd been conscious enough to hear everything. Jin-Woo teased her gently, saying he had pretty good hearing, and she muttered something under her breath, looking away, still embarrassed. When she asked about the mystery of that dungeon, her tone laced with hesitation, Jin-Woo's response was so mature. His gaze lingered on the crowd for a moment before telling her it wasn't something he could explain just yet. He needed more time to process it himself. And Hae-In just nodded, quietly accepting his answer. The trust between them. Her attention drifted to the shadows positioned strategically throughout the park. Jin-Woo's elite soldiers standing like statues, forming an invisible wall around them. When she asked softly if it might attract too much attention, he replied with such ease that it was fine. As she relaxed into the moment, Hae-In realized how long it had been since she felt this light. No responsibilities, no monsters, just walking. With Jin-Woo beside her, the pressure she always carried seemed to slip away. There was something different about his presence that wasn't just comforting, it grounded her. When Jin-Woo asked if she wanted to try a ride, she responded a bit too eagerly. Every time he offered a suggestion, she nodded with a smile, and he soon realized she might have always wanted to come to a place like this too. That decided it. If Hae-In wanted to try everything, then they'd try everything. Their first stop was the roller coaster, but neither of them flinched. Then came the drop tower. Again, no real reaction. The haunted house was next, and this part killed me. Ghosts jumped from every corner, but after a few failed attempts to startle them, even the ghosts looked confused, doubting their own effectiveness. Eventually they settled down on a bench with snacks in hand. When Hae-In took a sip from her drink and Jin-Woo asked if she was enjoying herself, she nodded and said she was, but something in her voice wasn't convincing enough. Jin-Woo leaned back slightly, noting aloud that the rides weren't exactly thrilling, and Hae-In hesitated before admitting that he was right. But then, he smirked and asked if she wanted to try something more fun. She blinked, not quite sure what he meant, until the world dropped away beneath them and the sky opened up. Kaizul soared high above the clouds, wings slicing through the wind with effortless grace. Hae-In's hair whipped around her face as she held on, overwhelmed by the sheer exhilaration, the height, the speed. It was everything the rides hadn't been. The wind softened, turning warm and golden as the sun dipped toward the horizon. The sky stretched endlessly, painted in orange and amber. When Hae-In turned to Jin-Woo, asking quietly why he would go to an amusement park when he could simply do this, his voice was gentler now as he said the park had been built over the gate where his father disappeared. He had always wanted to visit the place just once. Hae-In didn't respond with words. Instead, she leaned closer and wrapped her arms around Jin-Woo, a soft embrace filled with gratitude. He didn't move, letting the silence speak for them. After a while, Jin-Woo mentioned there was still something he wanted to show her. Kaizul flew farther across vast landscapes until they arrived in a secluded forest, untouched and endless. As they landed, Hae-In took in the sight, an endless stretch of trees, still and pure. Sitting beside Jin-Woo, she smiled quietly and rested her head on his shoulder. The two of them lay quietly intertwined, bathed in the soft glow of starlight as the serene stillness of the night enveloped them. This scene was pure poetry, guys. When morning came, sunlight spilled across the forest, glinting off a waterfall nearby. Hae-In knelt down to drink from the pool stream, while Jin-Woo stepped out from between the trees wearing his overcoat. He told her there was a hotel not far from here, and that they should head there, grab a meal, and clean up. She agreed immediately, and a moment later, Kaizul soared into the sky once again, carrying them both toward the horizon. But then, boom! The tone completely shifts. Outside the Korean Hunter Association, the atmosphere buzzed with unease. A middle-aged hunter stepped out of headquarters, just promoted to B rank, a milestone that filled him with quiet pride. As he strolled down the street, lost in thoughts of celebration, a figure brushed past him hard enough to jolt him out of his reverie. He spun around, irritation flashing across his face, ready to bark at whoever had bumped him, but the words caught in his throat. Looming before him was a massive figure, cloaked in a wild, monstrous aura. The man's breath caught in his throat as his eyes met those of the Beast Monarch, though he didn't yet realize who or what he was facing. A stunned crowd began to form, whispers crackling through the tension like sparks. But the hunter, still emboldened by his recent achievement, refused to back down. His voice rose with forced confidence, demanding that the beast watch where he was going, demanding an apology for the shove. Raiken didn't respond with words. His jaw stretched open, wide, revealing rows of jagged, shark-like teeth, and his glowing red eyes locked onto the hunter. A beat later, the air was filled with a sickening crunch of bone and a squelch of tearing flesh. In a flash, the B-rank hunter was gone, devoured whole, his blood splattering across the pavement. Fear gripped the souls of the surrounding hunters as chaos erupted all around them. Raiken's grin deepened, lips stained crimson as he basked in the terror. Without hesitation, he lunged forward, hurling cars into the air like pebbles, each impact scattering metal and fire across the street. One hunter barely had time to turn before a flying vehicle crushed him. A roar tore from Raiken's throat, loud, guttural, and laced with primal fury. The monstrous sound rolled across the city like thunder. His voice, though spoken in the tongue of beasts, carried a message as clear as death. He declared the hunt had begun and vowed to tear through flesh and bone, devouring all who dared stand in his way. The Beast Monarch challenged anyone, if they had the courage, to step forward and try to stop him. Back at the association, Chairman Go Gun-hee shot to his feet as the news hit. His voice cracked with disbelief as he demanded a situation report. Time was running out. Frustration surged through Gun-hee as he grappled with the escalating crisis. His thoughts were already consumed by the impending dungeon disaster, and now this beast had appeared out of nowhere. His voice hardened as he urgently asked about Jin-Woo's whereabouts, but the associate reported that no one had been able to reach him. Gritting his teeth, Gun-hee moved toward the door, fully prepared to face the beast himself if he had to. But before he could leave, an employee rushed in, panting and breathless. Someone had appeared, a hunter capable of matching the beast's strength. Gun-hee's heart skipped a beat as he asked if Jin-Woo had arrived, but the employee shook his head and clarified it wasn't Jin-Woo, but a world-class hunter who just happened to be nearby. Outside, Lennart Newman stood face-to-face with the nightmare that had descended on Seoul. Germany's strongest hunter could feel the ground trembling with each step Raiken took. The stench of blood coated the air, and a creeping doubt tried to worm its way into his thoughts. Lennart steeled himself, tightening his jaw, readying for the battle ahead. But just as he prepared to move toward the monster, Thomas Andre approached from behind, his towering form exuding power as his eyes locked onto the Beast Monarch. He told Lennart plainly to step back. This wasn't his fight, and if he didn't move, he'd just get in the way. Meanwhile, far from the chaos of Seoul, the morning sun warmed a peaceful countryside. Inside a quiet restaurant, the soft clatter of plates and the scent of fresh breakfast filled the air. Jin-Woo sat calmly at a corner table until his phone began to vibrate relentlessly. He answered with a brief greeting, only to hear Chairman Gun-hee's voice on the other end, strained and panicked as he explained that a monster had appeared out of nowhere and was tearing through the city with terrifying force. Jin-Woo's expression darkened as he asked how that could be possible, reminding him that the dungeon break wasn't due for days. But Gun-hee confirmed the truth. This creature hadn't come from the gate. It was a lone monster, and it had already wiped out an entire guild. This wasn't something they were prepared for. Jin-Woo's mind raced. He had stationed shadow soldiers across Seoul to report anything suspicious, and yet there had been no warning. He reached out through the link but felt only silence. The connection was faint, the voices of his shadows distant and muted like whispers through a wall. Even the summoning coordinates for shadow exchange had vanished. Something was blocking them, something powerful and deliberate. Jin-Woo's thoughts darkened as he asked the one question that could confirm his fear. Did the monster have a shadow? There was a short pause on the line before Gun-hee confirmed that it didn't. The creature had cloaked itself completely, even from Jin-Woo. Back in Seoul, Lennart watched as Thomas Andre strode confidently toward the beast. What did you think of this episode? Drop your reactions in the comments below. Smash that like button if you're as hyped as I am, and don't forget to subscribe for more solo leveling breakdowns. Until next time, keep leveling up.